credible claims of underground city beneath the Giza pyramids. Now, I have solved this, I believe, as close as probably most people have solved it. And I believe that we may even be dealing with a phenomenon. Some people might call it remote viewing. Some people might call it, like, seeing into where things could possibly hint. If you know about like psychics and their ability to know where certain stuff are located. So now, as this pertains, as you see on the screen there, you see the Giza pyramids, and you see this right here. Now I'll get to this article. We'll read all about it, but first I need to get you up to speed with exactly what I think's going on down there before I even read you the article, so it makes more sense to the person, whoever listens to this. And I suggest share this out, and you'll probably maybe more ideas will come from what I believe this could possibly be, which I actually think actually is. And as you see, there was a team of scientists who used some technology that they've used in the pyramids to find hidden rooms. Now, this technology has never been used underground at the depths and levels in which they were used. And they found these, what they say are shafts, as you see down there, the colored, and then over there, what they kind of think it looks like. Now, even more updated photos, you see them on giant blocks down there. And they believe it's a whole city, and people are trying to guess as to what this has come from and all of that. And I just so happened just have a lot of knowledge in my head and can remember different things that I've read and come across in the past, and I can say, oh, wait, that sounds familiar. I know that. And luckily with modern technology, it just makes it so much easier to just have a chat GPT just bring it right up. So you don't have to necessarily believe me and what I remember. You can have a little bit more clarity from that, and from that you can double check the facts of the chat GPT and me to make sure everything's all great and sound. Now, when I first saw this, I immediately was like, okay, damn, the Book of Thoth. I don't know if I'm spelling it right, but the Book of Thoth, and we can get into reading a little bit more about that and the history about that without me butchering it and explaining it. And let's just get right to it. So, I'll be scrolling up, and as you see, I did not lead it on. I did not trick it into thinking what I was trying to ask it. And now, because this is Stoner News, this is a 420 friendly show. I don't condone anything. Consult your medical practitioners before partaking in anything. And we always start out with a little rip to those maybe not in the cannabis community who come across this. And I suggest we're going to be doing a lot more news on this show. So subscribe and hit the like button, notification, and we got a lot of cool news up ahead. So cheers. Oh, baby. For those YouTubers on YouTube, medical tested, legal hemp 0.3. Oh man, knocks your socks off. Although extremely high in THCA. Let's just start with one hit. Will do us good. Screw it. Let's just do a second hit. Okay, so I want ChatGPT to understand the book. I want to read the book. So at first, I gotta tell it, "Do you understand it?" And it's telling me about it. I'll just read about it. Yes, I can help with that. The book, the Emerald Tablet and Book of Thoth, thought it was worth noting that they're often confused and blend together in modern eostistic mythical circles, but they're actually quite different. Now, this is very important to note. There's an actual Emerald Tablet, and then there's a more modern version from some guy that we'll read about him that kind of was like a mystic. He was like trying to see into something and like summon something into him to write something down. Like he was almost manifesting thought and trying to write something down, which is actually when you it's actually kind of a little mind blowing once you see all the connections that come up about this. So okay, the Emerald Tablet attributes to Hermes, and I'm not gonna even butcher that last name. And a mythical figure combating the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. So it's combining those. Cotton, a short cryptic text believed to contain the secrets of the universe and alchemy. Most famous line, as above, as so as below, as so written, so without. All right, I butchered that. Sorry. Okay, themes. Under all the things. Okay. Now, we're not going to read too much of this because it's kind of screwing up a bit. Because it's going to try to be like, oh, don't listen to that. Or like, this is all mythical stuff. We're not really interested in that. We just want the facts of this. And we want to have an open mind that maybe, even though this stuff is mythical, maybe there's some truth behind what the myths were, and that there actually might be something underneath the Great Pyramid, as we see all of these ancient writings telling us that there's something under there. Now, what is under there? I'm not going to blow smoke up your rear, and I'm just going to tell you right now, it's a fire ship. What's a fire ship? I don't know. Modern days, what we call a UFO, a spaceship, so powerful it could destroy all of humanity if we don't watch out. But kept there for the future generations that once we have the technology, we can harness it and use it. Now, okay. Again, Egyptian god, Thoth, god of wisdom, rang of magic, moon, whatever. If that's even true, uh, mythically is said to contain power and magical spells, secrets, gods granting knowledge, divine, the ability to control the world. In reality, there's no actual ancient text called the Book of Thoth. It exists more as a legendary or symbolic concept. So that's what they say. So, okay, we're talking a legend. Some truth can be behind legends. Maybe they saw this underground thing and they were like, hey, and they saw this great power down there and they just put all these things together and just started saying it. But there's always some truth behind some legends, which we need to talk about. However, our Greco-Egyptian mythical Hermetic writings and Coptic Gnostic scriptures are sometimes considered reflections of what Book of Thoth might represent. Okay, I mean, now we're getting into some others. Alexander Crowley's, no, Aleister Crowley's Book of Thoth. Okay, now we got that one. Let's see. Are you dividing this into this spiritual reasons of cult bubble? It wants to know what I'm trying to figure out. So now I'm going to say, can you read it yourself? Tell me when you're done. Absolutely. So it's reading it. Thank God I didn't write the whole damn thing. 'Tis true without lying certain, the most true, and which is below is like, which is above, and which is above is like, which is below. To do miracles of one thing only, or one only thing. And as things have been and arose from the books and meditations of one, so all things have rebirth, and from one thing by adaptation. The sun is its father, the moon's the mother, so that's all this stuff. Okay, I've read through, let's talk about it. What would you like to know? Seeming move. Okay, so I'm talking about something buried under the pyramid. So, yes, the idea. Okay, so it's telling you, I'm not going to say which pyramid. I'm not going to lead it on. I'm saying, hey, what was buried under the pyramid? You tell me. So it's going through all this stuff. Okay, many mystical traditions, including some hermeticism, theoropy, and other conspiratorial theories, suggest ancient knowledge tablets, or even the Book of Thoth, is hidden in the chamber of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Okay, secrets could include true history of humanity, lost technology, wisdoms, Atlantis, records of certain creations of the universe, keys to spiritual ascension or immortality. So it's saying, like, these occult writers, all these people were writing about it. Edward Casey, that guy was a sleeping prophet, who claimed a hall of records buried under the Sphinx. So, and there was also a sensor that also showed that too. Under the Sphinx, there's something under there. So, sorry about that. And now we talk Thoth and the tablets. Hold on. Let me close this damn window, because of course, let's just spark the bowl up. So, of course, they say Thoth is said in mythics to have written the Emerald Tablets, the book of Thoth containing spells and things to be able to speak to animals, raise the dead, or even become a god. Let me get to where is under the pyramid. So I don't want to waste your time with this. Okay, so there's scrolls. They claim that chambers beneath the pyramid could possibly be protected by curses, magic, or guardians. That's interesting. Again, something to watch out for if anyone does decide to go under there. That this is not anything new. And like I said, like when I saw it and heard about it, I was like, oh wow, this has been throughout a lot of mystics and people that like write about that sort of thing have been writing about this stuff. Now, if you there was that Space Odyssey book, and the guy wrote about a pillar on one of the moons of, I believe it was Jupiter or something, and then NASA found it. So it's like sometimes these writers like they write about stuff that ends up being true, but we just find out later on. But like they're pulling out this brilliance from somewhere, and just like I don't know, you know. So let's see now. I kind of want to skip past all that stuff because I kind of gotta get back on track. So I want to say this: did Thoth use a weapon against something in Antarctica? And that he said buried under the Great Pyramids for future generations, something like that, right? So did Thoth bury a weapon that was used against Antarctica that he said he buried under the Great Pyramids for our, like, the future generations? Or something like that. Otherwise, they'll be like, "Oh, it's not true." No, yes. Now you're stepping into the realm of Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, a modern channeled text. So, Dr. Maurice Dioril, 1930s. Now you never know. Maybe in the 1930s, they knew about this stuff, and they knew there was something under there, and they might even had sensors and technology, and they just didn't tell anyone. It was secret, and they knew about this stuff down there. And this guy knew, and he said, "Oh, that would make a cool science fiction book." And they're like, "Yeah, write in science fiction or whatever." Or he was like, "Oh man, that just seems like it would be so like true," and then like he happened to just be right. You know what I mean? Something like that. But a lot of stuff that's just like people imagine, like a lot of it's like kind of true. So this is where it gets kind of crazy. So, the Enterpret Tablet of Thoth the Atlantean, a modern channel text of Dr. Maurice Doreal, 1930s. This isn't the same as the Emerald Tablet. It's much more extensive narrative styled thought, like it was written by Thoth himself, recounting advanced technologies, ancient civilizations, and even more interdimensional battles. So that's kind of crazy, right? And yes, in that version, there's a wild and fascinating story that fits what you're describing. Okay, so okay, so in that book, he speaks about a great war against the Dark Ones, beings of chaos or shadow who came from the beyond. He says a powerful weapon or technology was used against the forces, possibly in Antarctica, or a region that was used to be habitable by a cataclysmic shift. Now, I know it was Antarctica because I read it and or had it read to me, and it was Antarctica. To prevent this weapon from falling into the wrong hands, Thoth claimed to have hidden it beneath the Great Pyramid, sealed and protected by spiritual and energetic forces. So, this thing is hidden down under there, and it's protected. And now we see the spiraling that's going on and stuff like that. I don't know. Who knows what's going on with that? Um, could it be a corridor going down? Energetic forces. What's energetic? You'll have to look to what they believed energetic was in that time. They knew about static electricity and different things like that, and like lightning. I believe they had basic concepts of like Baghdad batteries to be able to have electrical charges, ground forces, earth energies, spiritual stuff. So all those could be possibly something going on, which could possibly have been a subterranean, pre-existing natural formation that they then utilized and made into what we see as the shafts and stuff going down. So that could very well be it too. And as we know, the water table is pretty high in that area. It doesn't take much to get down below the water table, but we're talking a long, long time ago, back when this was probably done. So, what's an energetic force? I don't know. Water? I don't know. Okay, some say that the battle took place in Atlantis, which Thoth associates with the original home of wisdom. Daryl's tablet, Antarctica, is not named directly, but later readers in aristic theories have linked it due to the theory that Antarctica was once Atlantis, based on uh, crucial displacement ideas. Claims that remnants of the ancient tech temple, even structures beneath the ice, refers to as taking a fire ship and moving to the land of Kelm, Egypt, after the fall of Atlantis, carrying with him the knowledge and the wisdom and possibly dangerous tech. Now, okay, maybe it wasn't Antarctica, but what's the Eye of Sahara? Everyone claims the Eye of the Sahara could very well be Atlantis, and they often claim Atlantis was in the Eye of the Sahara, and that all got flooded. And they even proved that they can see the mudslides and how they claim that all of Egypt was buried and everything got covered up. So that could very well be the cataclysm that was speaking of that happened with Atlantis and how the tech was brought there and there was a pyramid and it was brought into a shaft way down under there because maybe that stuff was all buried. So we knew where it was, you know what I mean, under the pyramid. But there might have been a direct passage to it from there, or it just might be under there. You see what I'm saying? Uh, either it's linked directly to the Great Pyramid, in which you could access it from there, or like it's just saying that it's below the pyramid. That's the point of reference. Does it say he actually built the pyramid? Does it say the pyramid was there before he built it? Or does it say it was just under the pyramid? See? That's why we shouldn't really it doesn't matter when the pyramid was built. We're just talking what's underground the pyramid and what was under there that they're seeing. Someone built something on top of it because there was a natural disaster that flooded, and then that was the place that Thoth put it, which could be this great underground city down there or something like that. Now, I just trying to tell you about the things like that. All right. Okay, so now I'm asking it. Now look for the modern news clips claim to have found shafts underground cities. Granted, I have to tell it not been proven yet because it's going to tell me that. So let's see what it says. Yeah, recent reports have surfaced that a team of Italian Scots archaeologists who claim to have discovered a vast underground city beneath Egypt Great Pyramids using advanced radar technology. They purposely detect complex networks of chambers and structures exceeding over a kilometer ground. I think it's like 2,000 or 3,000 below, or something crazy like that. Discovery has led them to suggest that the pyramids were constructed around 38,000 years ago. Now keep that date in mind. 38,000 years ago. Significantly predating the traditional accepted timeline of 45,000 years ago. Okay, so they say 38,000 years ago. They think the pyramids were built 38,000 years ago based off of they think that the structures under the pyramids were 38,000 years ago. Okay, so there's a battle between Egypt and them just based over that, but that's like has nothing to do with anything that's significant. What we need to talk about. Um, so let's just forget about that. Let's go by what they said 38,000 years ago below the pyramid, they think, right? All that structure, if it exists, they think it's 38,000 years ago. Researchers were proposed that the underground structures, including passageways leading to hidden rooms and wells beneath the pyramid, and speculate these findings might align with ancient legends. Okay, so they do admit ancient legends, such as halls of Amenti, which are said to contain hidden knowledge and records of ancient civilizations. However, these claims have been met with skepticism from broader archaeological community experts, including Dr. Wahas, Egypt's former minister of antiquities, and have dismissed the finding as fake news. They question the methodology used, particularly the radar techniques, and highlight the absence of peer-reviewed evidence to support the evidence of the underground sea. True, but he admits that Egypt believed that there was a city of the dead under the Great Pyramid, which he thinks that this might actually be. Now, if you talk to what the Egypt's foreign minister thinks, he just says that's the city of the dead under there. So, and they both could be connected. Like, you know what I mean? Regarding to the connection of the mythical story of Thoth and the secret tunnels beneath the Great Pyramid, it's important to distinguish between modern claims and ancient legends. Emerald tablets of Thothian lands written in the 1940s. Now he's saying 1940s, but whatever. We know it's the modern version. So now here's some of the articles on it. We'll get into some of that. See, if you notice, it didn't tell me. I wanted to know, is it in the same location? So it's kind of trying to, like, it doesn't want to answer that. Like, it's been programmed to be skeptical. So I get to say, yes, according to recent claims, it is the same pyramid location, Giza Plateau, specifically near the Pyramid of Giza. Was being claimed. The company Research Tech, Italian research, and Scottish research has used ground penetrating radar and claimed spiral shafts, subterranean chambers, potential underground sea, hidden pathways are well deep beneath the Great Pyramid. This matches the exact pyramid location referred to in mythical stories, especially in old versions of the Emerald Tablet of Antholothean, where a written Thoth says he sealed ancient knowledge and technology beneath the Great Pyramid, made to be found only when humanity is spiritually ready. So that's another thing. Humanity has to be spiritually ready, and seeing just how what humans are doing right now and how we are killing each other. And we'll just say that we war in Ukraine alone, and then now you got wars all over the place and genocide, Sri Lanka, you got all these places, and it's pretty awful stuff. Burmese and stuff, Burmese genocide, it's all over the place. Now, what would they do if they ever got this technology now? Maybe they would destroy the world. Maybe they would try weaponizing, or maybe now's the time for it. I don't know. Now might be the time, or it might not be the time. But whatever there's there was sealed with some energetic energy or spiritual curse that I don't know. I guess if we can do it, they'll let us do it. But Uh, how to get it from under there, I don't know. That's something you have to channel through the Egyptian authorities. But if they keep fighting over stupid stuff like the day of the pyramids or what the name of the city underground is, then they'll never get any evidence. They should just go with the day of the pyramids or 4,500 years ago, like they say, or whatever it was, and just claim that what's under the pyramids might be an older complex with hidden secrets that you call the City of the Dead, and try to explore the City of the Dead. And then they'll be like, okay, let's have funding to explore the City of the Dead. But if you try to start the research off on that, hey, it's much older and we're going to prove you wrong, they're going to not let it happen. See what I'm saying? So they got to kind of like take the knee on this one, as they say. Let's see, are we talking about the same pyramid? Yes. Location wise, same pyramid. Great Pyramid of Giza. Yes. Mythically, fits the narrative. Buried chambers, ancient knowledge, garden secrets, and something that could transform humanity understanding if revealed. But no, not definite proof yet. The radar findings still are controversial, and Egyptian authorities like Dr. Zai have strongly denied the legitimacy of the claims, calling it unverified. So that's it. You just have to verify it. That's not much. I mean, would you like deeper dives into this? No. Okay. So, was thought supposedly to have lived around 30,000 years ago. So this one, I was like, okay, I know the answer. And when it told me that before, I was like, holy cow. But I want it to tell me and corroborate this. So, look at this. Yes, according to modern historical texts, especially the Endo tablets of Thos, the Atlantean, written by Maurice Doreal, the same guy we were talking about, Thos said to have lived around 38,000 years ago, long before the known history of Egypt. And that's when Atlantis exists in the eye of the Sahara. That's when the massive flood happened, and he took the knowledge from there and brought it to where Egypt is and had buried. And where it's buried is under the Great Pyramid. That's not saying he made the pyramid, or maybe in the story he says it too, but like they don't have to argue over that. You know what I'm saying? But this is where I think this has this has some significance, and I believe that the United States government, even the Pentagon, would be interested in knowing that a fire ship is located there, according to that. And if said, that's like a UFO or something, right? Or like, there was talks about the Vimana in what was it? India, Hindustan Vimana, long time ago. They had like fire ships and different things like that. So all over the world, they had these decks of like these fire ships and chariots that used to fly around. So one of these old techs could actually be located there. That one of these people hid for us now that we could possibly find and then use to like, I don't know. I don't know what we could do with it. But it's so powerful we could destroy the world apparently. So, and you never know. Maybe this stuff was already discovered and maybe we're late to the show. And like they said, the U.S. government's like 50 years ahead of us on everything, and they got it. They already took it out of there, and like they've been using it for a long time. Maybe it could be something crazy like that, and you never know. At all the invading forces that have gone through there, has someone destroyed it? Now, luckily, it's buried under there. There's water. Who knows if it's even still viable? I don't know. It would be interesting to see it. And you think maybe something so powerful, protected so well, might still be like unflooded or undamaged by all the waters that happen because or maybe even the shafts are empty. Maybe there's no water in the shafts. Maybe when it flooded, he built this great complex under there with all the knowledge and stuff and then buried it. And then a long time later, like people knew that was like a sacred spot or could read the energy there and was like, wow, something bit powerful is here. Let's put a pyramid. And they're like, yeah. And they just put a pyramid over it. Something like that. Or the pyramid itself could have been what was protecting it. a powerful force to protect it, a pyramid or something, because I imagine it's going to be very difficult to get it out with that pyramid there. So I guess maybe if you go in from the side or something, I don't know. But I know one thing: if the governments don't get involved, you'll have some private company or some people that don't know what they're doing do it, and they'll start damaging it and ruining stuff. Because I remember that Oak Island, those people that were looking for that treasure on Oak Island, they just were just digging potholes through it. And I remember one episode, they went through and they came up, and it was like a parchment paper with like some writing on it. And I was like, oh crap, you just flooded it. Whatever you did, you flooded, and it's probably ruined now. So things like that, you got to be really careful with. Like, you could flood any manuscripts being protected right now that might still be sealed and completely destroy it. And this stuff's so old that it'll just get completely ruined. Or knowing them, they wrote it in stone. But like I said, with the water and hopefully there's no currents flowing too much and or no water molecule vibrations to wear down the stones over time. But should be an interesting find. Now that's what I believe is down there. Now what is, in that version of the story, Thoth is not the Egyptian god of wisdom and writing. He is described as flesh and blood being, a high priest and king of Atlantis. So he was the king of Atlantis, right? And he lived in Atlantis before the fall, which he claimed happened around 38,000 to 36 to 30,000 years ago, exactly the time that they're talking about. Now, after Atlantis sank, he supposedly traveled to Egypt and helped establish a new civilization there, teaching wisdom, science, and spiritual truths. So, in the great city of Egypt, under the island of Udal, in the time of the past, I began in this incarnation, not as the little men of the pre-stage did the only mighty ones of Atlanteans lived and died, but rather from the eon to eon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti. And now, why 38,000 years ago? This number likely comes from the idea that Atlantis existed 10,000 years ago, and as purportedly by Edgar Casey and others, a blending of Atlantean lore and theosophy, New Age teachings, which suggest that high-tech or arcane spiritual advanced civilization existed long before mainstream science and knowledges. Okay. So it's important to note that this is not part of Egyptian mythology. The Egyptians themselves saw Thoth as a immortal god, not historical human being. So even the Egyptians believed in him. So the 30,000 year claim is entirely modern. Part of an aesthetic or channeled knowledge, not archaeology. So like I was saying, this guy was channeling it, trying to channel something to get the knowledge of what the heck was going on. And it's funny the way things kind of line up a little. And maybe there's some truth that there's something crazy down there, like a spaceship or something. Or some sort of a flying fire ship. That'd be kind of crazy. And Thoth said in the Doril's tablets to have lived around 38,000 years ago. He ruled in Atlantia, and after its destruction, he came to Egypt. But this is esoteric, fictional, and spiritual philosophy, not historical or archaeological facts. Okay, so now he'll give you more on the timeline. So let's get onto the news article. And sorry to make this so long, getting into the news article, but the news article is out. Most people probably already read the news article. They're sick of the news article, so I can start the news article and things like that. So now we got a visual auto loading, so it's trying to load an ad. We're just going to pause that. If you want to see it, you can go to the New York Post. I suggest people, if they want to read about this, I'm reading from the New York Post. You guys can give them a view, and we'll be doing this for fair use. And again, let's take ourselves a little rip here. Some nice legal hemp, federally legal hemp. Oh, yeah. All right, now there's a vast underground city below Egypt's pyramids. Scientists' wild theories claim, but experts doubt it as fake news. All right. See, researchers claim they have discovered the legendary halls of Amenti in a vast city, Egypt's beneath the Giza pyramid. The wild theory that has perplexed archaeologists experts who dismiss the claim as fake news. Italian and Scottish scientists studying the pyramids of Khafre say the underground great groundbreaking study has redefined the boundaries of satellite data analysis. The archaeologists exploration, according to the spokesman of Nicole Ciccolo, uh, apparently named the cafe project Coraldo Malanga from the Italian University of Pisa and Filippo Biondo of the University of Strigoside in Scotland led to the expedition and discovery of the Giza Plateau's second largest pyramid. So they're saying the discovery second largest pyramid. Scientists said the location, five small room-like structures inside the pyramid using synthetic aperture radar (SAR) radar technology. One study contained that sarcophagus mistakenly thought to have been Pharaoh's tomb, and the team said its press release. So one structure containing a sarcophagus mistakenly thought to have been the Pharaoh's tomb, the team said in a press release. The group claimed the five structures previously known before the image were found in the center of the pyramid. The newly discovered structures were connected with pathways that lead below the surface and believed to expose hidden rooms and wells, 45,000-year-old wonder of the world. The electromagnetic signals were tuned to phonetic data and unrevealed structures and infrastructure leading down thousands of feet underground. 8 large vertical structures, theorized to be wells and shafts, are thought to have existed over 6,500 feet across, with over 2,000 feet underground, below ground. Look at that. So that's what they're looking at there. But now we can kind of get to this. So they use this technology and they saw all that. Now, research didn't reveal the use of large structures below the ground, but planned for a further analysis of possible excavation for artificial structures. The product used satellites 420 miles up into space, which is why that is amazing. 420 miles. Now, that's significant to me. That they're up 420 miles. Now we're going to take a rip to that. So it's saying these signals. Saying these signals 420 miles up into space and then sent back down another 420 miles. Photographed the pyramids according to the Daily Mail. Data was compiled into images to create a rough copy of what was believed to be below the pyramids. Hollow structures consist of pathways leading down underground. So that's them there. Now, if we kind of want to look at it ourselves, wow, that's pretty huge under there. And imagine what's under the whole other area. It's like almost like there was an entire city there, and it just got completely covered with sand and shit from the ocean, from the big flood that happened. It's pretty amazing. I don't even know how you'd access it because of the water level, you know? It would be kind of crazy, right? Topographic images show different feeding results could indicate internal structures or underground pyramid, under the pyramid, rather. The group used data to make a rough 3D model, estimating what is believed to be hidden from the world's eye. When we magnify the image in the future, we will reveal that beneath that lies what can only be described as a true underground city. So they saw it, they magnified it, and they're saying a true underground city. Skepticism and accusations that the study was a hoax arose when people did not publish the information with a peer review. Now, here's the problem with peer review. Peer review is kind of a scam now. If it doesn't fit a scientific narrative that they want to have in, they'll just say it's not peer reviewed. They won't peer review it, or they'll peer review it bad, or they'll purposely screw up the peer review, and the whole peer review process will be all screwed up. And they even do this with archaeological discoveries and things like that. And they'll even try to sue you over it. Like you, like if you dig something up in their backyard and you have a geologist say it, and he says, "Wow, this is this old." These people come at you and they'll try suing you over it, and they'll say it's not true. It's just a stone or something stupid like that. And then they'll try taking away the archaeologist's license. It's like it's crazy. What's going on? And that's going on in the U.S. You know, it's going on everywhere, man. If they're that crazy, even about like Native American stuff, then pre-Native American stuff, dinosaur stuff. If they say something's not in an area and you say you found something in that area, they'll come at you, man. They will. And renowned archaeologist, Egypt's foreign minister of antiquities, promptly called the claims completely wrong, fake news. Now, to kind of like get him on board, start using the names he called it. Start saying the things he said. Say that you think that Egypt built the pyramids on something that was there that got flooded on that Egypt knew about. You know what I mean? Try like because they'll never let you under there if they keep on with this. The claim of using radar inside the pyramid is false, and the techniques employed are neither scientifically proven or valid. Okay, yeah, but they didn't use them inside the pyramid. No radar was used inside the pyramid. The radar is 420 miles above us. So that's how they can get away with saying that. Researchers created a 3D model of the giant wells that descend below the pyramids with spiral pathways. So that's what they're saying, something like that. Big blocks, spiral pathways. And that almost looks like a battery and like copper wire wrapped around something to create like an energy field or something. Now that would be an energy device, right? That's protecting something under there that they don't want you to get at. Because it's so like powerful for humanity. And it was something that like pre-existed us. Like 38,000-year-old technology that if we got now it would be like crazy. We're just coming out of like from being like cavemen and shit with like basic technology and getting our hands on something like that. Or are we ready for said technology? And now's the time, since we found it, to go and get it in order to stop killing each other. Who knows? Or are we going to kill each other quicker with the technology? But these look like energy rods. And if you've seen like some growers in our community, like Twisted Roots, you've seen him do that. He's got a stick and he'll put like a wrap something around it and it'll do something with like energy and stuff, right? So that's like huge right there. And it's a pyramid is above it. Like seriously now. That's crazy right there. That's like it's like a whole thing. It's like a technology thing or something. So, or is that like a spiral to get down there? How would you get down there? You'd have to walk around like that and go all the way down. And maybe these were like this was like a city, and these pillars were cities or towers. So, what this could have been a flooded zone, and these weren't pillars underground. This was above ground, and this stuff, these were pillars like it's like a city. Like we have towers today and everyone lives in there and stuff. And then well, how would you get down? You didn't have elevators or whatever. But maybe they had like a spiral like walkway that you could just walk all the way down or drive up or whatever technology you could do. And then under over here was just like the ground. So yeah, well, I don't know what just happened, but let's hope we can get there. Let's go back to the article. Sorry about that. Can get back to where we were. All right, so we're like right here. So just think of that like the ground right here, or maybe even like the way the ancient city was like this is a big building here, and these were like little like parking garages or something. And you go into the parking garage and you get an elevator that goes down under here. How cool would that be, right? And under there was just like a big thing. So that is what we're noticing over there. Now, if we want to scroll like this, let's see. One researcher of the University of Denver said the claims were exaggerated as the technology is not advanced enough to create such images. Okay, well, whatever. It was good enough that it worked inside the pyramid, and they even found stuff inside the pyramid, but it has never been confirmed to be able to work underground. And with the water underground, they have to prove that it can work. But, maybe it's working and it would have looked better, and it's all blurred. So, you never know. There's also a lot of salt, so I don't know what that's going to do to stuff. There's a likelihood that there's five small structures just found below the surface, and maybe there because of the history of the area. Alright, so whatever. Converters said that the land was sacred in ancient civilization even before the pyramids were constructed, according to the Daily Mail. The wild claims contributed to the growing interest and possibility of the discovery of an ancient text and other resources from the Egyptian myths. A remarkably strong connection between the layouts and characteristics of these underground chambers, legendary halls, described in ancient myths. So now there you can look at they're kind of trying to line stuff up here. That is kind of interesting. They got these weird shafts going down like that. And then it's like this there. It almost looks like a power plant, doesn't it? Crazy. It's almost like whatever fire ship technology, like a spaceship or some huge fire ship, was located under there, and then they manipulated it, knowing the energy was there to harness it somehow to do something here with the pyramid. Maybe that's what a lot of it was too, to make it if it's going to be buried underground, it's just constantly giving off energy. Why not utilize the energy, right? So maybe this was kind of like a power plant. You never know. It is weird the way that looks. Okay, so that's radar expert Lawrence Convey said his likelihood of five small structures, smaller structures, found just below the surface that may be located for historical or there. Now, those aren't small to me, man. Those are giant. But I guess these right here are like one, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Looks like there's more than 5. So, and then that's about it. So we can look up this and say Eye of the Sahara. The Eye of the Sahara. They say it's how old do they claim it was? You're hitting at the best of the ancient raid theories. Okay. Also known as the Richard structure. Rich that structure, whatever that is one of the most strongest modern candidates for the possible location of Atlantis, at least according to the alternative researchers and ancient mystery enthusiasts. Okay, yeah, we already know this. So, all right, in case people don't know, Eye of Sahara, located West Africa, Sahara Desert, massive circular geological formation, 25 miles wide, clearly visible from space. Almost looks like an eye or like a little circular thing. Looks similar to Plato's description of Atlantis, containing rings of land and water. Okay, now let's going to get into why people think it is. In Plato's dialogues or in texts, Atlantis as a consecutive ring, alternative land and water, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a powerful, technologically advanced civilization that fell around 9,000 years before Plato's time, so roughly 11,600 years ago. So that's a time gap there. One's 38,000 and one's 11,000. Now, if we were to go by Plato and what Plato said, and then combine that with the other one, maybe they just got the 38,000 wrong. They're dating it wrong. And then we have that happen. But then we say that 4,000 years ago they built the pyramids on top of it. That almost the time frame could possibly work out, where the Egyptians could have built the pyramid on top of the location where it was hidden when it roughly fell 11,000 years ago. So like before the what is that? 10,000 years was the ice age and shit, right? So that is interesting. So the dates are all weird, but it is interesting. We kept getting 38,000, 38,000, 38,000, unless they're all cooperating with themselves off of each other's thing. But then you got Plato actually writing it saying that 9,000 years before his time, that's what he thought back then. So now this is just him writing about history from before his time, and we're getting it. So that would be that, which is interesting. Maybe he got the time wrong, or maybe the other people are. Whatever. Matches the physical description. West of Egypt, Hercules, ancient water erosion. Yeah, and all the salt. That would explain the salt in Egypt if the flood had hit there. But it wasn't Egypt at the time, so that's the thing. They shouldn't call it Egypt. They should say pre-Egypt, so that the guy doesn't get so crazy. And then maybe just pre-Egypt sand got in there or something. You know what I mean? Let's see. Formed around 100 million years ago during the Cretaceous period, so it's an ancient formation. They say Atlantis was destroyed 11,600 years ago. The Sahara could be what remains of it. Now let's read more about it. Okay. Formed around 100 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Geolithic dome, huh? But the erosion from human and habitable evidence around it could date to the Holocene, roughly 10,000, 12,000 years ago, which matches the approximate date of Atlantis' destruction given by Plato. So, and then it would be so easy to take something from there all the way to where Egypt is now, right? Because it's like right there. Okay, so the mainstream versus the alternative researches, whatever. How do you know they claim Egypt side does not? I'm not. That's not what I asked. Okay. I mean, let's see. Thoth. Any books? Wait, the original legible tablets. How old were they? How old is the original Emerald tablets? Ah, shit. Sorry. Because, like I said, the other one wasn't the guy. Whatever. Let's see. 8th century. So that's when they were written, but when do they believe that it was actually a story from? Okay. So that's the surreal one. That was 30,000 years ago. 8th or 12th century. So Greco-Egyptian Arabic origin. That's weird how they write that. The claimed origin. Okay, but like the story's time frame. Let's see if it understands. Let's see. So they're saying around 10,000 years ago. It doesn't give explicit dates, but in Hermetic traditions, Holmes is considered a synthesis of Egyptian god Thoth and Greek god Hermes, said to have lived long before recorded history during a primal age of wisdom when gods and humans mingled. Some occult traditions date Hermes' Thoth teachings to over 10,000 years ago, and possibly aligning with Atlantis or pre-dynastic Egyptian civilization. 10,000 years to 40,000 years ago. But if you go up here, what was it? Look at that, 11,000 years ago it was destroyed. Huh, interesting. 10,000 years ago. See, these dates are matching up, right? So maybe these dates are correct, and that story has a correct reflection that when when Atlantis fell, they took stuff that was buried, or there's something buried under there from humanity's history before the fall with technology. Let's see, so that's 10,000 to 12, 11,600. And then down here, we're talking about 10,000 to 12,000. So the emerald tablets line up with this up here. That's the original emerald tablets, not the guy that saw it or whatever, right? That's pretty amazing. That actually is pretty amazing. So I think we figured it out. And again, I think we figured it out. It's an underground city. Now let's try to figure this out ourselves, just looking at it. It does look interesting. These things could be like, you ever see the city of New York? And if you looked at New York City and it was a bunch of skyscrapers and big buildings and they're all kind of lined up and there's like cities in between, this looks like way more than 9 to me. They claim that it's 9 to me, or 6. This looks like a whole like city down there, like multiple ones, and pathways between. And maybe people were living in that. And then maybe when the flood happened, it all got filled in with sand and was buried. And then it just stood there, all buried. And now the flood water levels are up. I wonder what's still under there. That's pretty amazing. So this could be a spot where during the flood that covered everything, there was all sand, and sand might have preserved the structures of the building so they're still standing. These are like city structures, but what are they made of? Like stone pillars, like cities, or are these like steel or something crazy down there, like some sort of metal? Who knows? We're talking like some very, very old stuff right here. And we know there's biblical flood stories, all that stuff. And things like that. I wonder if we can even try to incorporate that and see like see now this is something I'm gonna have to check myself, but like how long ago was Noah's flood? Let's see, according to whose text? I'll just leave it as that. No. How long ago was Noah's flood? I know it was like 10,000. How long ago was Noah's flood? According to Hebrew text, whatever. Should I do according to Hebrew text? Yes. Okay. It was only 4,000. Okay, whatever. But we have to figure out creation of the world, BCE, though. And we got to add on the years that we have now. So, years ago. Okay, here we go. Göbekli Tepe, Hebrew flood. Wow. So the flood was supposedly 4,000. No, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. These numbers aren't making sense. But that is interesting. Göbekli Tepe. Playos Arena. It's definitely not 4,000. But there's a little squiggle there. You know what I mean? We're talking BCE. How many years? From, let's see, 2025. See if I can get to write it a little better. Yeah, I guess it's just, jeez. So they say 4,372 years ago. Sheesh. I'm going to have to double check on that, but whatever. It's definitely not. But, because we know what happened 4,000 years ago. Or do we? Let me think. Oh, maybe not. You know what? This stuff could be older than that. If they think it's older than that, it's probably not predating that. This was probably flooded during that time. So now we're thinking, okay, they kept accurate timeline. So if we're talking 4,000 some, but they say they built the pyramids 4,000 something years ago, right? So that's why this doesn't sound right. Or was that destroyed? The flood happened and destroyed the pyramid. Right here. So if Egypt's claiming the pyramids were built like 4,000 something years ago, that happened and then another flood happened. So that means there was a flood before the flood in that area. We're talking a global flood that was Noah's flood. We're talking the flood of Atlantis. And we all know what happened before Noah, and that was all crazy stuff. That probably was high technology. Okay, so it does fit in. There was just multiple floods. The flood of the Sahara was the flood of the Sahara. It wasn't the flood of the world. Or at least the Mediterranean. Interesting. That was interesting. And they were saying that they saw flood damage on the pyramids. Interesting. Very interesting. So I think now we're getting a better, clearer picture of it. All right. Dare I add this in? So there's an Armenian Babylon. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this will be fun. Let's take a rip. I gotta say something over here. Let's see. So there's Armenian ancient history, and there was a long time ago. There was this guy that took down all the histories of the areas in ancient times and took down our ancient history. And we'll be getting into that and the giant hike, and also right now, which is more, we're going to be talking about the Babylonian map. So let's see, Armenia is found on a Babylonian, did I spell it right? You'll know what I'm talking about. Stone map. Do you know? See, okay, Babylon map of the world. So, let's see. Discovered in the 19th century Iraq, 603 BCE. So there's that. It has Armenia written on it. That was our original name. Alright, so where can we get to this where it knows about it? Okay, so now that it knows about the map I'm talking about. So, the four corners of the map. So, the map has directions. And they point to, how do you say, they point to parts of the world. One directs to Noah's Ark. Yeah, here we go. The Babylon map are symbolic directional markers. One of them has indeed interpreted by some scholars a starting point to land over it, which is likely to be the region of Noah's Ark came from, according to the British. Okay, so we got that one, right? Direction towards Noah's Ark. Yeah, okay. Mountains of Ararat. And the ark rests in the 7th month and the 7th day and the month upon the mountains of Ararat. Let's see. So, okay, so now I'm getting it. See, I'm getting it to, I'm not even going at this angle right now. If you guys want to read about this. It may be wrong about some details, so I don't need to really read it, but... Okay, so now... What is said about the marker pointing to Egypt? Now that, hey, see where I'm getting at now? Okay, well, the Babylon map prominently features regions of Syria, or does not include the direction of Egypt. It does, though. The map's primary focus is in areas surrounding Mesopotamia, Babylonians, direct interests towards that area. Okay, I gotta say that. I mean, towards that direction. Our regions. Okay. Okay, no, but Egypt is not present. See, it knows what I'm trying to do, so it's not going to help me. See, now that it knows I'm trying to get information from it, it's not going to tell me. But what the map does show, it shows like different angles. Let's see if can you show me a picture of the map? Of the map. See if it does it. I don't know why it doesn't want me to show it to me. Whatever. So, Salt Sea, triangular sections, whatever. Okay, so the Armenian legends. You see the okay, so here's what I gotta get it to. I gotta get off of this, I gotta get on something else, and I gotta hit it back with this, because it's being real stubborn on me. It knows what I'm trying to say. So, this map showed how to get to Noah's Ark, and it showed how to get to all these other great wonders that were around the world. It was directional. They believed that the map showed the whole world. Now, granted, people that are in this peer review are dead set that they were just talking about that just specific area. That does include Armenia, by the way, but whatever. Okay, but now that we know about Armenia, we know about them in the ancient times, we know about them on the map, I can get there a different way, and this is the way I'm going to get there. So, I'm going to ask it, do you know the oldest history of Armenia that spoke of a flood and a giant? She is going to say, okay, here we go. Okay, so yes, the oldest known history of Armenia speaks of a flood. Giants come from a combination of ancient Armenian myths, historical texts, religious translations. Flood stories refers to giants, integral parts of Armenians' folklore, early part of the history, and striking similarities with older ancient mythological floods, like Noah's flood in the Bible and the Epic of Gilgamesh. The flood in the Armenian mythology, most famous flood in Armenian history, story of Noah's Ark, of course. They were the first Christian nations, according to the tradition. We all know about Noah's Ark. Okay, so now there's another one. Okay, two. Giants being mythological creatures. Armenian folklore. Giants known as, well, that's a difficult word right there. I'm not going to try. Stone-cross giants appear in many mythological legends, often described as having supernatural abilities, possessing immense strength. The Hayek and Bel myth is one of the oldest Armenian legends. It tells a story as Hayek, a mythical founder of Armenian people who battled against Bel, a giant symbolizing an ancient conflict between Armenians and their enemies. See, now, it was actually Armenians were in Babylon, and that's how we got on the Babylon map. Armenians were held cap. Armenians, after the flood, we were on Mount Ararat, and then from Mount Ararat, there was Hike, this giant that led us to Babylon, the warmer regions. And those warmer regions, there was a ruler of Babylon called Bel who was imprisoning us and making us slaves and wouldn't let us go. So we wanted to leave, and he didn't want us to leave. And at one day, we just left with the Hike, and then Bell found out, sent his armies at us, but Hike's brother found out, warned him, and a huge battle happened, and then Hike killed Bell, and then he founded Armenia or something like that, and that's how we got freedom from Babylon, and how we even got on the Babylonian map. Like it is like they did find skeletons of giants there too. There's all sorts of stuff, but it's strange. I mean, this is ChatGPT. You're not going to get all that stuff. I don't think I need to actually show you that written down on the internet. You guys can fact check me on that. But let's see. Let's read on. Okay, Epic Giants. See, it likes to give you a lot of information that's not above about certain things. It's still talking about that. It thinks I'm trying to connect the flood story and that together, which I'm not. Okay, write that guy right there. History of Armenia. So I'm glad it knows. It has to know. If it doesn't know, I'm gonna have to make it know. So it said that on itself. Okay. So that's exactly what I wanted to say. We're going to go like this. Okay. History of Armenia. Let's see. In History of Armenia. That's for History of Armenia. He spoke of giants building wonders of the world. Giants building wonders of the world for humanity. see what it says. Okay, I'm correct. And Morai Corrente's History of Armenia, also known as the History of Armenians, is reference of giants who are said to have built monumental structures and wonders of the world for humanity, which aligns with the ancient Armenians' myths and the reverence for these giant beings. Key points: giants and their wonders. In that account, giants often supernatural history, strengthened and acknowledged. According to some ancient myths, these giants helped shape the world's construction wonders because of the immense size and power. Often these giants freaking hike, often wonders founded by Armenian people who said to have rebelled against uh, the giant Bel, king of Babylon. And this Bel between Hike and Bel are part of the fundamental myths in Armenia. Hike is seen as the figure in building the early civilization of the region. So apparently, the Armenian giant, yeah, with the other giants too, not just him. He was the good giant. There were other bad ones, apparently. An description of monuments and works, temples, cities, and fortresses by giants also symbolize early civilized efforts to building efforts for Armenians. These buildings were acting as divine agents and interceders between gods and men, or whatever. Building of wonders, sacred places. Giants Armenian traditions are often credited for the creation of sacred sites and temples, fortresses. So it's in the culture. I'm not going to read this because some of it might be wrong, you know what I mean? But I mean, even the Greeks had such attributed constructions of massive pyramids, Egypt. So I read this part. The concept of giants as builders have parallels in ancient mythologies, such as Greeks, who attributed the construction of massive structures like the pyramids of Egypt and the walls of Troy to giants or gods. See, that's what I was getting at. So they believed that the giants were the ones that made Egypt and the walls and all these huge structures. Oh, how did they move those blocks? How did they carve those blocks so easy? Now I can also get into there's a secret mixture of an ancient plant that they used to crush and form into like a maybe not a resin, but a paste that could dissolve or soften rock. And they would rub that on the rocks and they would soften the edge and shape the edge to get them to fit together snug. And that's how that was done. And they can also mix rock, melt it, or not melt it. It forms a softness to where they could pour it in a mold and things like that, and it would like harden later. But during the flood, apparently all that was lost and how to make the stuff, or even the plant that used to exist. So that's something that man, I don't even want to try to get ChatGPT to try to figure that one out, but the concept of the giant builders may have parallels with ancient mythology, yada yada. Okay. Hayek is said to have established the kingdom of Armenia after all the fall of the giants, and marking the end of the era of superhuman beings walking on Earth. The foundation of Armenian civilizations often linked to legendary of these giants. All right, so as you said, now we want to get into let's see. Okay. In this old text, giants were believed to have been involved in the creation of monumental structures, temple cities. So, yep. Okay, so how old is his text? And how old are the stories he has in his text? All right, so 5th century. I use BC AD. They use the CE stuff and all this other bullshit. So I have yet to wrap my brain around that. Okay, his work has commissioned by the King of Armenia to chronicle the history of Armenia and its people, therefore reflects the historical narratives when during the period. Okay, so now let's see what they say during this. The flood. Okay, so second century millennial. Legend of Hark, founded by me, associated with Noah's flood, not Ararat. In ancient tales that were already well known in Armenian culture long before this time, these stories were likely originated several centuries earlier, potentially going back second century millennia BCE, around the time of earliest cultural formation. Armenia's cultural formation. Okay, the flood narrative closely parallels biblical story found in the book in Genesis, which traditionally dates about 2000 to 1500. Okay. However, his version, which reflects a blend of Armenian culture identity, could also incorporate elements of Sumerian, Babylonian myth floods. Example, Epic of Guinness was known, blah, blah, blah. 2100. Okay. Giants and their associational constructional wonders are part of the much larger tradition, roots, blah, 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 blah. So it does now reflect on that a little bit. So could be a little bit of history on the flood that happened in the time of Noah and showing that they were in the area. We're talking about now the map of Babylon pointing to different areas, showing that, then bringing it back to what they said the giants did, which was build large structures and monuments, which I believe were probably what the Egyptians, if they did build them, they probably enslaved the giants or had them do it for them. And that's how they were able to just move these monumental structures. And when you see one small guy with a whip hitting like some large guy pulling a stone on the things, maybe that was the sizes were correct. Maybe it is a giant guy just yanking a little stone. But I guess time will tell. They'll have to go underground. They'll have to check to see what they find. And who knows? But what is underground the pyramids? What is under there? I believe we have figured it out. Pre-existing civilization that was buried by the flood. That possibly then the pyramids were built over that area. And under the pyramids, where that old civilization pre-flood was, lies this technology that was for humans that could destroy us and everything about us. And you have to be ready for it. What is that? I don't know. Should humanity even go there and try to find it? Who knows? Who knows what they would do it for and what evil purposes they try to utilize this technology for. But it is pretty interesting, and I must say, they're pretty accurate with above ground is accurate below. And I'd like to see their detailed photos, which they say prove to advance city, complex city under there. And I'm saying that I think these things right here, I think these things, it's like a city. I think there are more of them than that. I think it's like New York City, and these things were like skyscrapers, and it all got filled in with sand, and some of them collapsed and were damaged. And then on top of the sand, they were like, "Hey, this is the spot where our place used to be. Let's start building again." And then they were like, "Okay." And then they started building. And one guy's like, "I know a spot where I can hide this that used to exist." Dug under there, stuck something there, and they put a pyramid over it probably or something. I don't know. So, very interesting. I'll end this one here, and this is a breakdown of what I believe is under the pyramid. And, yeah, that's most likely a massive spaceship of some sort or fire chariot, fire ship, whatever you want to call it. So, we'll end this one here.